My name is Audrey. I'm 30 years old, a wife, and a mother to two beautiful children. My life was what I thought most people would consider perfectly normal. I had a stable job, a solid marriage, and a family I thought would always have my back until one fateful day that shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. This is a story of betrayal, justice, and ultimately healing. It's a story that's going to make you rethink what revenge truly means. Revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about building something better out of the rubble. It all started at my parents' 30th anniversary family reunion. Everyone was there, the cousins, the uncles, the aunts, the second cousins, and of course, my brother Thomas. Thomas and I had always had a strained relationship, but I never thought it would come to this. He was always the serious one, the golden child. My parents adored him. He was the straight-A student, the one who followed all the rules, the one who made no noise. As for me, well, I was the wild card. I was always a little too loud, a little too emotional. And that was the way things had always been. But I loved my family. I loved them even when it felt like they never fully accepted me. I had just finished preparing food and was walking into the living room where the kids were running around and laughing. My daughter Emily was in her element. She was singing loudly as usual, some Disney song that I knew she had memorized word for word. She was 6, full of life, and she didn't care who heard her. Emily's voice was full of joy, and I thought it was one of the most beautiful things in the world. But apparently, Thomas didn't agree. I watched, almost in slow motion, as Thomas entered the room, his face already contorted in that expression I knew so well, the one that always told me he was about to snap. His voice was low and controlled, but filled with an edge of something darker. "Emily, be quiet. You're being too loud," he snapped. His words were like cold steel. Emily, startled, stopped mid-song and looked up at him with wide eyes. She didn't know what was happening, but I could see the fear creeping into her expression. "Thomas, leave her alone," I said, stepping forward to shield my daughter. "She's just having fun. She's a child. Let her sing." But Thomas wasn't having it. Without warning, he stormed toward Emily, and before I could blink, his hand raised and slapped her across the face. It felt like time stopped. I couldn't breathe. My heart shattered as Emily stood there, stunned, her hand flying to her cheek where the slap had landed. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she was too shocked to cry. I could feel the rage building up inside me, but there was no time to react. I was frozen. I thought I was going to suffocate under the weight of what had just happened. How could he? How could anyone hit a child? Especially my child? But the worst part? The part that sent my world spiraling into disbelief and horror was the laughter. The cold, cruel laughter of my parents. "Relax, Audrey. It's just a little discipline," my mom said, dismissing the situation with a wave of her hand. My dad was too busy laughing to even say anything meaningful. Thomas was just trying to teach her some manners. You know, Emily can be a bit much sometimes. My insides were on fire. I had always known that my parents favored Thomas. They always made excuses for him. But this was something else. How could they not see how wrong this was? They were laughing at my daughter's pain, dismissing it as if it were no big deal. It took every ounce of self-control not to lash out. But in that moment, I realized something. This wasn't just about a slap. It wasn't even just about my daughter. This was about a much deeper issue. This was about the pattern of behavior that had been ingrained in our family for years. The silent abuse, the generations of stifled voices, the silencing of emotions. That night, after we left the reunion, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop thinking about what happened. About how my parents never stood up for me, how they always let Thomas get away with everything, and how they still laughed when he hurt my child. I couldn't let it go. It was time for me to break this toxic cycle, and I would. The next morning, I had a plan, but here's where things took an interesting turn. As fate would have it, our family had been recording a documentary-style video for my parents' anniversary celebration. It was a simple thing, just some candid moments, a few interviews, and family interactions. The mic had been left on throughout the entire night, and that mic had caught everything. Every word, every slap, every laugh. And most importantly, every moment of pain that my daughter experienced when my brother hit her. I knew what I had to do. I wasn't just going to make sure Thomas was held accountable for what he did. I wasn't going to let my parents get away with their negligence either. I had one card to play and I would play it perfectly. I made a few calls, a few strategic, calculated calls to the people who could help me. I reached out to a lawyer, a PR specialist, and a close friend who worked in media. I wasn't just going to let this slide. If my family wanted to laugh and turn a blind eye, I would show them exactly how damaging their behavior was. I would make them understand that there are consequences to treating a child like she's nothing more than an object to be disciplined. 2 days later, I called a family meeting. Everyone showed up, and I could feel the tension in the room. My parents, Thomas, even my husband, Mike, all of them were there, but they didn't know what I was about to reveal. I hit play on my laptop and the video started. They all stared at the screen, not understanding at first what they were watching. And then the moment came, the slap. The cold, heartless slap that echoed through my soul, and my brother's voice, his cruel, dismissive voice telling my daughter to be quiet, that she was too loud. And then my parents' laughter. I could see their faces change. My mom's smile faltered and my dad's hands tightened into fists. They knew I had them now. What is this, Audrey? My brother stammered, trying to backtrack, trying to make it seem like it was nothing. It's called accountability, Thomas, I said, my voice calm but strong. This is what happens when you abuse someone and think there are no consequences. But you won't just get away with it. This isn't about revenge. This is about protecting my daughter and breaking the cycle of abuse in our family. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. The video leaked to the media. Thomas lost his prestigious job, the job he had worked so hard for, because of the public backlash. His marriage crumbled under the weight of his actions. His reputation, built over years of manipulation and control, was destroyed. But that wasn't the end of it. My parents, too, had to face the truth. They realized that they had been complicit in enabling Thomas's behavior for years, and it cost them the relationship they had with me. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't quick. But slowly, we began to rebuild. Slowly, I helped my daughter reclaim her voice. We went to therapy, and we worked on healing the wounds my family had inflicted on us. Revenge? Maybe. But it was more about reconstruction. It was about rebuilding my family, not on the broken foundation of silence and control, but on trust, love, and respect. And as for Thomas, well, he's still out there. Still dealing with the consequences of his actions, but I'm not angry anymore. My revenge was never about making him suffer, it was about making sure that we wouldn't suffer anymore. The real revenge was in the healing.